Hi, and welcome to Straight Shot Radio. My name is Johnny Slick, and I'm the founder and head coach at Straight Shot Training, a remote personal training company with an emphasis on helping people of all fitness levels feel better, move better, and live better with progressive functional strength and conditioning workouts. Welcome to episode 100 of the Straight Shot Radio podcast. You hear that music? You want to know why I'm playing a traditional Chinese folk celebration song? Well, two reasons. One, I want to celebrate the 100th episode of the podcast. And two, well, you're just going to have to listen to the rest of the podcast to hear why the trainers at Straight Shot have some pretty odd musical choices to work and work out to, mine admittedly probably being the weirdest. You'll also learn about Coach Delaney's many pre- and post-workout meals, Straight Shot co-owner Chris's go-to home exercises, and even a pop-in visit from our friend Dr. Foland from Kinetics Physiotherapy and Performance. It's all part of our century episode question and answer certified fresh knowledge bomb bonanza. I know I told the team that I wasn't going to actually call the episode that, but I thought that I'd try to find a way to sneak it in there. Anyway, Straight Shot co-owner Chris Lewis and Straight Shot coach Delaney Bodner join me in this episode as we go through a bunch of questions that were submitted via social media. Everything from weight loss and home workouts to workout playlists and supplements. So let's jump right into our chat where we cover it all. All right, so let's get into our first question here. Jen wants to know what the best exercises to do at home would be. And I guess maybe the way that we can do this, because we've talked so much about at-home exercise over the course of this year, is maybe let's go through and pick our favorite exercises that we've programmed for people while training at home. So can you guys think of maybe 3 to 5 that you've done a lot of this year since people have been having to work out a lot more with dumbbells and bands?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to know? Do you want us to tell you what they are now, or?
Sure. Yeah. Let's go. So,
I mean, squats, obviously, and part of the question is, do they have anything? What? Yeah. It's a tough question because we don't know if they have anything. I'm going to assume they don't have anything.
So let's go with favorite bodyweight exercise, favorite band exercise, and favorite dumbbell exercise that you've programmed for people over the shutdown.
Okay.
Delaney, you got one for bodyweight?
Yeah, I have one for all three. Do you want me to go bodyweight first?
Yeah, let's do all of us do our own bodyweight one, and then we'll go through band and dumbbell.
Okay. Probably my favorite bodyweight one for most of my clients are either planks or stationary inchworms, which my clients hate, but they also get a lot out of.
Because it's like a slow burpee, slow reverse burpee.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, what do you have?
I got air squats and dead bugs.
Okay. For me, it would be plank toe taps. I'm just thinking of a different exercise beyond like squats and lunges. I gave people tons of those over quarantine, but yeah. You start out in a push-up position with your feet wide and push yourself into like a downward dog position, and then reach through and touch your opposite foot with your hand, and then return to the plank position. And that's been one of my favorites for like hitting core and shoulder. But obviously, yeah, squats, planks, lunges, those were staples still in people's programs who were working out at home without equipment. But a lot of people have resistance bands. So what are your all's favorite resistance band exercises? We'll start with Chris on this one.
Oh, wow. I really don't use them that much. And
really?
Because,
okay.
Because I've got a full thing at home, It's
true. Yeah.
I feel kind of bad about it now.
Flexing that home gym.
For all the people that don't have anything, I've got a full gym.
Delaney, what about you?
It's true, though. I honestly don't use bands much other than for assisting with pull-ups.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's been a big one for people at home, though, because at the gym, I know that we like to use those assisted pull-up machines. But if somebody is trying to get some vertical pulling or any pulling movement in at home, assisted pull-ups are a big one.
Yeah. That would be mine.
Okay. Delaney, what about you for resistance bands?
The ones that I've used the ones that I've gotten the most positive feedback on are probably mini band pullovers.
Oh, cool.
I don't
Okay.
do a lot of stuff with like long bands for my clients. I mostly use mini bands just because I don't have any long bands.
Okay.
So most of my Zoom and in-home are with the mini
bands.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do use mini bands a lot though, for monster walks or stuff like that for
like
for
hip stuff. Yeah, core stuff. I've been doing a lot of, since I'm big on having people do pulling exercises just as much as they're pushing. Any type of row variation. I've come up with a bunch of different ones using super bands. So like seated rows, bent rows, face pulls, just about any way that we could figure out how to get somebody to pull a band towards them. My clients and I have figured out this year. So for me, it would be rows of any type.
Yes.
And then you got another one, Delaney?
Yeah, I just remembered. For my team builder clients that have long bands, I've been giving them reverse wood chops, like kneeling reverse wood chops, but I'm having them tie the band to like the leg of a heavy table.
Yeah.
And so far, like the ones that I've given it to, they like really like it.
Yeah, anchoring is always an issue with band exercises because you have to make sure the client has something they can anchor it to. But I've seen people get pretty creative with stuff. You always got to make sure that it's not going to slip off. Because I did have one session with a client this year who didn't anchor his band. He just like wrapped it around a doorknob, and I didn't realize that he didn't have it like secured.
Oh no!
And he went to pull it and like slapped himself in the back. His reaction was funny. He laughed it off. But yeah. Have you all ever had that happen before? A resistance band like snap on you?
Yeah, I've witnessed someone that like had it under their feet because they were doing banded rows, but they stepped off before like letting go of the handles, and it smacked them right in the face, and it was really bad.
Oh my god!
It wasn't a client. It was a friend. It was a friend. I didn't train them.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had one that I was doing. This is back whenever I was working out. Whenever I was in like high school at my family's house, and I was doing pec flies, and I had the band wrapped around the top of my bunk bed. But it was on like a lip that was only like an inch high off the top of the bunk bed. And I was like full flex because I thought I was going to be in the next 300 movie when I was doing my pec flies. And I snapped myself so hard in the back. I had this completely horizontal line across the top of my rhomboids for a week.
Oh no.
So maybe safer option might be a dumbbell. So what do you all like for dumbbell exercises? I mean, obviously, squats and lunges and presses are things that we do a lot, but is there some type of different dumbbell exercise that you all have really liked using this year?
What I've been doing for my clients that have dumbbells but not kettlebells is some of them, they'll do dumbbell swings.
Okay. I like that one.
Which is fun. Yeah, it's like fun because it still gives them that same motion, and it's like different because it's different from what people usually think of when they think of a dumbbell exercise.
Yeah.
So they're always kind of like, ooh,
something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's if you don't have kettlebells, they really are. They do work just as well, in my opinion. You can do the dumbbell swings if you don't have the kettlebells.
Yeah. What do you like, Chris? Anything different with the dumbbell you've been doing?
Probably the one-legged Romanian deadlifts.
Oh yeah,
dumbbell.
That's a solid one because for people who just don't have that much weight access to them, you can load up a deadlift a good bit if you're doing it on one leg.
Yeah.
I think my favorite has been the dumbbell pullover. And I know most people think of that as like a chest exercise, but it really works. It's supposed to work your lats and your serratus if you're doing it correctly. But so many people who don't have access to resistance bands or any way of doing vertical pulling, it's a good way to work the lats in an overhead position. So you're not just doing endless row variations. I mix in pullovers on a weekly basis in my programs just because it gives people a different way of training overhead movements. And if you do it correctly, it can help build a healthy shoulder. So I think pullovers have been my go-to new movement for dumbbells this year. So
those are good.
Yeah, let's skip into another training question here before we get into a nutrition one. So what are some tips that we have for people easing back into workouts after a long layoff? This was Larry is asking for a friend. He wants to know how to ease back into working out after a long layoff. What are your all strategies for that?
I think people just need to realize that it doesn't have to happen immediately. They got to kind of get themselves and build back up. And it does take some time, and obviously depends. We don't know, I don't know how old this person is, but it really doesn't matter. You really should kind of work yourself back into it and don't immediately just jump back into, something that's too heavy or where your form falls apart because you haven't been doing anything for a while.
Yeah. Well, and Chris, Larry, I think is either a year older than you or possibly your age.
Yeah. So I think that's, coming off of the surgery last year, I really had to change my mindset and just ease back into it. And other than the one time I was probably doing some dumbbell bench presses with a little bit too much weight too quickly, I think I did a pretty good job of easing into it.
I think it's important. He's asking for tips coming back, and we did the whole last podcast with Kevin Barry on returning to exercise after COVID. Was about slowly building yourself back up, but I think more so than the technical, how many sets and reps, how much weight you use coming back to. I think what you said, Chris, with the mindset of it is the most important part, because that's going to frame you for the entire journey of your programming coming back. Right? If you go into it with the mindset of, I can't wait to be back to my old weights in 8 weeks, you're in for a big surprise. So I think
you get frustrated. And, you just have to, if you go into it with the right mindset, then you'll continue to be motivated to keep working to build back up there. But if you think you're going to have, immediate results right away, you could get disappointed and
absolutely
frustrated.
And now, Delaney, you took some time off of overhead pressing, and as everybody needs to understand that is people who compete in sports and coaches. There is times when you have little tweaks and things that happen that are just part of training, especially if you're competing in something. And the smart thing to do is take these times of backing off and then slowly building yourself back up. So you took some time off of overhead pressing, right, Delaney?
I did. I'm still technically not like fully overhead yet. Like we're still in the easing back in process.
Okay. Same thing though. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that's been since November. So that's kind of like ties into what Chris says, where like you can't expect to be back in a few weeks. It takes time.
Yes. As I was about to say. So
yeah.
So for you, the mindset was you were going to take this planned time off, because it wasn't like, you didn't have a debilitating injury where you couldn't raise your arms up overhead, but you were having some issues where you needed to address some things and you had to get into that mindset. And now, you're on the way of building back up, right?
Yeah. And it was actually kind of nice because it gave me more time to address other like strength issues that I had. Okay. I'm still addressing that obviously, but, so it actually was kind of like a little bit of like a blessing in disguise, because I've done like a whole bunch of extra like strength work, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, coming back into it after a long layoff, your body may have needed that rest for a little bit,
right.
Especially Larry, he's talking about this, maybe you can look at that time as being some recovery time, and now you can come back and slowly rebuild and do things in a correct and conservative manner and come back possibly, stronger than before you took that time off. All right, so let's jump
for sure.
Let's jump into two kind of nutrition related questions here. First one, what do you do to jumpstart weight loss? And I feel like it's a bit of a loaded question, because when people use the term accelerate weight loss, accelerate fat loss, jumpstart fat loss, those are definitely catchy terms.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a tough one, because I think so many people struggle with nutrition, including myself. You and I have had many conversations about this, and it's that relationship with food, is really interesting. You look at it, and people talk about it all the time. Food is supposed to be your fuel. And if you can get that mentality, which I think is really hard, I do think it's hard. I struggle with it all the time, because food is comfort to a lot of people, and and it's definitely hard. But I think there's a lot of different things. Meal prepping, which I don't do, but I keep saying I need to. I know you do it, and you've got a great routine. So there's this nutrition is so key.
Yeah. Well, and again, this reminds me of the question that we just covered, where we talked about the mindset is almost more important than the tactical things. So when somebody says, jumpstart weight loss, we could say, drink this tea, or only eat these foods, or don't eat any of these foods. When really it's the jumpstart to weight loss is the change in mindset that you have to make before you start doing this to then start viewing food. Obviously, it's still going to be enjoyable to you, and it's still part of social aspects with other people, and food is pleasurable when you eat it. It's supposed to taste good. I don't really care too much, but when it comes to changing your mindset to losing weight, you do need to start viewing fuel as the things that I put in my body are going to have an effect. They're either going to help me or hurt me when it comes to my weight loss and the amounts of foods that I eat. So if you can maybe start changing your mindset to my body needs enough fuel to fuel my workouts, but not so much that I have enough fuel for my body to not need to burn body fat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Delaney, is that kind of how you see it with your clients when it comes to them wanting to lose weight? I know people typically want a quick answer.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing to jump start it, which goes along with Chris's the whole setting the mindset thing, is to come up with a plan first before you even take action, because it's going to be way less overwhelming if you have a concrete plan and have specific goals versus just I want to lose weight in general. Then you're going to be super kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah. And having a plan that's going to almost if we were talking about we wanted to have somebody bench press 200 pounds, but they could only bench press 100 pounds. We know that we couldn't just throw 150 one week and then 175 the next week, then 200 the third week. We know that we would have to have these incremental changes. So getting into the mindset of weight loss is you really only should be losing a pound, maybe 2 a week, and your reduction in calories might be a total of 3,500 calories over the course of a week, which is 500 a day under your maintenance calories. So you need to figure that stuff out before you start. And you don't have to do calorie counting, but you have to find a way to systematically reduce the amount of food calories that you're eating in order to be able to lose weight. And Delaney, I think it's important what you said with having a plan. So maybe the best way to jumpstart it is, get it into the mindset by coming up with a meal plan and maybe start meal prepping.
Yeah, I think those are great ideas.
Yeah.
Amy has a question here about pre and post workout meals and supplements. Let's go pre-workout. So Chris, are you doing a pre-workout supplement right now?
I'm not doing one. I used to, funny enough, do when I was running a significant amount. I used to do a pre-workout for running, but not for strength training. Not sure why I was doing that. I've gone to. I still do pea protein for my post workout supplements, but I have not been doing from strength training any pre workout.
Okay, Delaney, are you doing any pre-workout supplements?
Not any supplements other than coffee and food.
Okay, so you're getting a little caffeine there. I actually stopped doing pre-workout supplements this year. Back whenever I was doing strongman, we were drinking those Bang energy drinks and Rain energy drinks like we were trying to be sponsored by them.
Oh God!
And
no.
and we're like crazy. And then whenever the lockdown started, and I was still 1 day a week, I would stop and get one of those before my workout. And I noticed that I was having terrible workouts on those days, and it was because it was just too much caffeine. I couldn't focus. And what happened was when quarantine started, I started drinking so much less coffee because I wasn't commuting and I wasn't at a gym that had free coffee. And my caffeine sensitivity was so high that those energy drinks and then those pre-workout like powders and stuff, I couldn't handle anymore. So I completely stopped them.
I try to time my strength training to come after a meal, timing it so it's not sitting in my stomach, obviously, but it's that I feel like I'm fueled enough to get a good workout in. So that's probably the biggest reason I don't do any pre-workout.
And I'm the same way. I typically eat lunch at noon and I train at 2 or 2:30. So it's, pretty much out of my stomach for the most part. Delaney, how long is your meal before your workout?
Usually like half an hour before.
Now, is this like a snack though? Or is this like a meal?
It depends. Oh, sorry. It depends on the day. Usually a meal.
So you're doing like a Salisbury steak, corn, and mashed potatoes half an hour before snatching?
Well, not that fancy.
Okay.
It's like the common person's version of Salisbury steak.
So, well, I guess, is different. The three of us train differently. Chris and I probably have a more similar training style maybe than Delaney, because Delaney's doing, training for Olympic weightlifting. But when I was training strongman, I was trying to gain that much weight, I could eat half an hour before, because I would be doing a set of, 2 squats and then resting 5 minutes in between sets.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I guess it depends on the type of training. So, I guess the consensus here for pre-workout is we like to have some type of energy source in there, obviously a mixture of carbs and protein, maybe some fat. I prefer to have higher carbs. I'm not sure about you all when it comes to pre-workouts.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yep.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Okay. So you got some fuel to run on, but it's not going to be something that's completely sitting in your stomach. If you're going to be doing something higher intensity, especially running, something like that. Post-workout, obviously we want to get a mixture of protein and carbs. Chris and I do the pea protein isolate. Chris, what do you mix it with?
I mix it with almond milk.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That's what I like the most. But even water is fine. I think it's definitely better tasting.
Wait, do you buy a flavored one, Chris?
I do buy the vanilla.
Okay. I was going to say, because I buy the unflavored one, and I've tried to drink that in just plain almond milk and just water before, and it was like drinking like spackling. It was terrible.
That's gross.
So you buy the.
I mix it. I do mix it with a vanilla almond milk, so it.
Gotcha.
It's pretty good, and then if I get really, if I really want to add to it, I'll make a smoothie out of it and throw a banana in the blender with it, and maybe add some peanut butter powder in there.
Oh, nice.
That's more of a meal.
Okay. And Delaney, I know you did that. You've done some post-workout shakes. You did one as a blog once. Is that typically your go-to?
Yeah. And then as soon as possible, I'll have another meal. But something that I think would be more applicable to like everyone is I don't chug it, but I have a lot of water, because even with lifting, like I can tell that it makes me like it's not the same thing as running, but you still get dehydrated from that movement. So definitely I replenish water for sure.
Absolutely.
That's like one of my biggest things. Yeah.
That's as soon as you finish your workout, start chugging some water before you do your shake and stuff. Yeah, I do.
And that's pretty universal. Like that applies to everyone, regardless of what you're doing activity-wise.
Yes. And I typically, like Chris, I do, almond milk or soy milk and the pea protein isolate, but then I put bananas and oranges and spinach. And I pile a bunch of my fruit and vegetables into one smoothie and then just chug the thing after my workout. And then typically 2 hours later, I'll eat a full meal.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So,
you want to hear something really obnoxious?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I was like, I really wanted this the other day. So I can't remember. It was I think it was McDonald's. It was either McDonald's it was Wendy's. I got a Frosty from Wendy's and then mixed my chocolate peanut butter whey protein in with the Frosty and then added like a little bit of milk and then blended it. It was really good. I mean, I don't really recommend that depending on what like your goals are, but it was tasty. Yeah.
Between your pre-workout hungry man dinner and your post-workout routine, we've described like 3,000 calories over the course of 2 hours in your training day.
Yes. If any of my clients are listening, I don't recommend you eat that
way. You all can eat this over the course of a week. I'll eat it in an afternoon.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So as for supplements, they're helpful. I think they're convenient, but I think the biggest thing, and this is kind of what all of us have said in one way or the other, biggest thing is getting your hydration, getting rehydrated and getting in some protein, some carbohydrates post-workout. And whether you do that through a shake or through a meal, just as long as you're getting it in, because you do need to repair the muscles that you use during your workout and replenish those glycogen stores so that your muscles are well fed, and of course keep everything well hydrated, because that's how your body functions best. All right, so Amy has another question here: how to reduce cramping in your hands and feet after a workout?
Well, that's you kind of, with the whole hydration part. I think that's a big piece of that. Continuing to hydrate. It's funny, especially during the winter. People kind of forget. They think of drinking more, water during the warmer times. But you have to definitely continue to hydrate. And even, we all probably struggle with this. I keep a bottle and, of water, and I just want to make sure I drink, so many of them in a day. But and most of the time I never get there. And it's like, but I know it's the right thing to do. And I tend to have a lot of cramping in my calves during the night. I think hydration is probably a key to that. The other thing is probably maybe potassium, magnesium can help with some of that cramping too.
The other thing too is I guess I think of it too with what you're doing in that workout session. That I know some people who have cramping in their hands, it can be a mixture of, hydration or electrolyte imbalance, but it could also be they over grip the weights when they're working out, and they squeeze the crap out of a bar or a dumbbell the entire workout, and their hands are just cramping up afterwards because of their grip giving out. Have you guys ever had that before?
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't myself, but okay. I can see how that can happen.
But the other way, it could be grip weakness. If you're having that much cramping in your arches or in your hands, it could be because those areas are weak, and you need to have maybe some grip work, like fat grips or pull-up holds, things like that for your hands, and then balance exercises to increase. In your bare feet, balance exercises to increase the strength of your arch may help with cramping as well. So I would focus a little bit on building up those areas during your workout, and then afterwards hydrating and making sure that you get your electrolytes in by eating plenty of fruits and vegetables. Delaney, what do you think on that one?
I just pretty much agree with what you guys said. I've never had any clients that have experienced that. So I'm, other than like just hydration and then kind of watching how they're gripping, there's not really, I can't necessarily think of anything else that outside of the usual. Yeah.
Now, when you first started training with Olympic lifting, Delaney, did you have any cramping in your hands when you first started learning hook grip?
No, I had bruising though, but no cramps.
Okay. For anyone who's not, I'm trying to describe this as I'm looking at my hands doing it. So a hook grip is when you grab the bar with your thumb over top of the bar and the rest of your fingers grab over top of your thumbs. Delaney, do you have a better way of describing that?
Well, the best way that I can think of it is pretend you're holding onto the steering wheel, but tuck your thumbs under your fingers.
That's a good one.
In between.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts when you're not used to it, but then your thumbs get dead and then you don't feel it.
Yes, but that's how you hold the bar when you're doing Olympic weightlifting, because it keeps you from bending your elbows too early and allows you to generate more power from your hips and not take away that power by bending your elbows too early. But when people first start Olympic lifting, I know a lot of people get really bad cramps in their thumbs from trying to hold that position.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's like a big thing is like finger discomfort.
Yes. So in that case, though, it's just a matter of just getting used to it.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble with fingers or hands and feet cramping after the workout, maybe it's because you did a new workout and your body just has to get used to it. Mm-hmm. There's like a million answers for that one question.
That like reminded me. So my best childhood friend, she used to do, I don't know if, well, I guess she'd be fine with me sharing this, but she used to do competitive figure skating. And when I would go to I'm the world's worst figure skater, but when I would go with her, I actually would get toe cramps just because my foot wasn't used to the shoe, but like using my foot and ankle that way. So it could that kind of ties in with like getting adjusted to what you're doing, especially if it's something you've never done before.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're in the boot, but you're standing on this like tiny blade. And it's very different. The mechanics of your feet inside of a skate are so different than the mechanics of your feet when you're standing on the ground. All right. Yeah. Bailey wants to know, what is your typical workout playlist?
Oh, hi, Bailey.
Bailey also wants us to share it. So I don't know if you all have one that we can post maybe in the comments of the post here, the podcast post. We can put up your playlist. But what do you all like to listen to?
Delaney, I'll let you go first on this one.
I was waiting for you to go. So I'm actually really weird, and I'd be totally fine lifting and working out in total silence. So I usually just let someone else pick the music. But if I had to choose, like if it was like, oh, you have to listen to music, it would be Glass Animals or Oliver Tree.
Okay.
Which no one's probably going to know who either of those two people are.
Chris, what do you like?
I'm kind of like Delaney a lot of times. Sometimes I'll just go work out and in silence, and I don't mind it. But there are times I'll put Spotify on, and I'll typically I'll listen to. This probably shows my age. I'll listen to what I think they call it the daily drive. It must be meant for people driving into work. It's kind of a mix of like news and music, and the music's pulling from your playlists, or your favorites. So you end up listening to a bunch of stuff you already have on there. But I like all kinds of music anyways. I may be old, but I pretty much like just about everything, even at 60. No, I don't have a particular playlist, that I listen to, but I will just kind of let it randomly run through the music.
Delaney, I think I forgot to tell you this, but when I went down to Kinetics, North Carolina, to see Chris and the gang there, when I walked in, Chris was blasting Phil Collins.
Oh, yes.
I can't stand Phil Collins.
The best.
So I will lift to anything except for Phil Collins. I get what you all are saying, because there are some times when I'm in a rush and I'll start warming up before I even turn any music on, and just because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. But especially my heavier sets, I have to have something on to keep me from thinking about anything other than focusing like exactly on the bar or whatever it is that I'm doing. So once I get into my actual working sets, I've got to have something on, but it definitely ranges on what my mood is that day. But typically for me, it's going to be either hip hop or some type of weird indie alternative rock. My musical taste, but do you all find that do you think that your musical tastes are different than what you would listen to when you're just in the car?
No, not for me.
Really?
Not really, unless if it's like an absolute like weird day, but normally I'm kind of like Chris.
Oh, okay. So I have like the music I listen to when I'm driving, especially when I'm going to like one client's house to the other. If I'm working, I have my like work driving music, and I have my like chill out music. I have my music I listen to when I program workouts, and I have my workout playlists, and they're totally different.
Oh,
wow.
Like,
no, is that weird?
That's amazing.
Do you all listen to music when you work on the computer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you listen to music with lyrics when you work on the computer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Really? See, I have to do instrumental.
So now you're the same person.
Because otherwise I'm going to end up like writing a client's workout and like typing in Pusha T lyrics into their workout. So I listen to all instrumental when I program workouts, and Rachel thinks I'm crazy, but one of the things I love to listen to is traditional like Chinese and Japanese folk music while I program workouts. That's been my kick recently.
Can you drop that playlist, please?
Yes. It's a pretty sweet playlist. But or I'll do like, one of my favorite bands, Rat-a-Tat, is it's an instrumental band. They're like hip hop music, but no lyrics. But I like to listen to stuff that kind of gets me, like if I'm working, gets me stuck in whatever mindset it is that I'm doing or I'm focused on. Music that's going to kind of help me through that. Whereas my lifting music is something that's probably going to get me more, like inspired or agitated or something like that.
That makes sense.
I guess too, I'm really, 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 really into a lot of music. So listening to different stuff at different times. But I definitely couldn't lift to the same music that I listen to when I work.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But I definitely can just listen to this. I can listen to the same album like months straight for literally everything I do. Now,
Chris, when you're listening to a daily drive, though, so you're listening to news while you're working out?
No, what it does is the daily drive, it starts off with like a 5-minute NPR session. And I don't watch news on TV. I'm just not into it. Yeah. But at least I figure I'll get a little tidbit of what's going on out there in the world. So it's like 5 minutes of news, and then jumps into a few songs, and then it'll typically pick up something called Snacks Minute, which is a couple of guys that work for I think it's Robinhood Financial that do a quick little financial news, and then it goes back to music again, and maybe about 15 minutes later there'll be some other news little piece in there. So it's definitely a mix of news.
Okay, that's cool.
Now, do you all ever listen? Yeah, do you all ever listen to podcasts? Because I listen to podcasts when I run. I forgot that's the other thing that's different about musical things is I don't listen to music when I run. I listen to podcasts recently when I'm running. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving mostly. Okay. Delaney, when do you listen to all 99 episodes thus far of the Straight Shot Radio podcast?
Well, I have a hard time listening to podcasts just because I have a hard time focusing.
That's why I asked.
I was like, oh gosh, how do I answer this? But I have listened to the Straight Shot. I'm going to say try because I always have a hard time getting through podcasts. But I listened to the Straight Shot podcast, and then I listened to like one of the weightlifting podcasts, and then I also just started listening to one of Sal Vulcano's podcasts because I love
from
Sal
Impractical
so much.
Jokers.
Yes, I love him so much. It's like one where he reviews food with like one of his friends, but I maybe listen to a podcast like once a month.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have to drop all of those playlists now into the show notes for Bailey or we just DM them to her. All right. So we get our last two questions here. They're a little bit longer questions, but we'll see. I think is Garrett around to answer the one, Chris?
Yeah, Garrett's here.
Okay, so let's jump to that one first, and then we'll finish up with Kevin's question.
So let me make sure he is. He just walked away. Hold on.
Okay.
Hey, Garrett.
You there? Let me know when you're there. Whenever you're on, Garrett.
He's here. I'm here.
Oh, you're right here. Cool.
I heard you guys talking about workout music, so I put my headphones on.
All right. Well, welcome back, Dr. Garrett Folan, jumping in for a surprise visit here for the last question. Rory wants to know, I had Achilles problems for a couple of years. I went to a physical therapist, and the exercises have helped to a large degree. It's still giving me problems, though, and there's an underlying heel spur that's been there the entire time. At what point do I try to refine or increase my Achilles physical therapy with at-home exercises, or do I go to a podiatrist and continue the PT refinement? I'm an advocate of getting as much non-invasive PT type intervention, generally speaking. So what do you think, just judging from that, Garrett, what do you think is the best course of action for Rory with a heel spur and Achilles tendon issues?
Well, first of all, we'll apologize for the train that just went by.
Yeah.
So he's been through PT. It seems like it's helped him. And let me, I'm reading through the question here. I couldn't hear you very well because of the train.
Oh, gotcha. I thought that you all just closed a bunch of programs because that's what it sounded like you were shutting programs down on a window.
You remember the first podcast you did with Dr. Folan when the train came by?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was so loud that we actually had to end the episode and start over.
It looks like a long train too.
All right. So for Roy, what I would recommend is, as long as he continues to see progress, I would keep doing what he's doing.
Okay.
If things start to plateau, then if he's working with a personal trainer, that'd probably be the first stop. Go just discuss it with your personal trainer and see if there's any progressions to an exercise program that could be prescribed by the trainer. And again, run that out until you notice that there's no longer improvements or progress is starting to plateau. And then maybe you want to move forward, seeing somebody in the medical field, be it a PT or a podiatrist. There's a chance that, soft tissue wise, in terms of the muscles and the Achilles tendon itself, maybe PT and exercises in general have kind of done their job, and maybe it's the bone spur that's causing issues at this point, and that's not really something that as a PT or a personal trainer we can address specifically.
And I think that's kind of where he's at, because he's saying they've helped to a large degree, but he's still having problems. So I guess the difference is, if he's still seeing progress, keep going, obviously. But if he's not seeing any more progress outside of what he was able to get through physical therapy, it's probably time to see a podiatrist then about the bone spur.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for jumping in, Garrett.
Of course. Yeah. I'm going to get back to my workout.
All right. Have fun. Go crank that Phil Collins.
Motley Crue.
Right. Motley Crue. Okay.
Oh, nice.
That's a little better. All right. So let's finish up with our last question here. Kevin wants to know, he's trying to figure out an efficient way to use the bare minimum equipment-wise to lose weight. He has a squat rack, a bench, and a barbell, and some strongman implement stuff. So I guess I'm looking for ideas that will incorporate just the barbell for full body work. Well, already I think he's got a decent amount of equipment. If you've got a rack, a bench, and a barbell with some plates, that's more than a lot of people have.
Yeah, he's actually in a pretty good position.
Yeah. So weight loss. And I answered Kevin back shortly with this via text, but wanted to cover some more here with you all. Do you think exercise selection, the actual exercises you do, is that the most important thing when it comes to writing a program for weight loss?
No, not specifically in terms of like weight loss itself. In terms of movement and like movement goals and things like that, then absolutely. But in terms of weight loss, it's all entirely dependent on what you're burning versus what you're taking in.
Yeah, I agree with Delaney. I don't think that his programming choices are going to be the driving factor. I think it goes back to the nutritional side of things, along with a solid strength training program.
Yeah. And Kevin sent me his program, and just looking at it, I made some tweaks to it. It was a solid program that he kind of Frankenstein from a couple other things that he found. But the one thing I was suggesting for him is that, when you have a barbell, you think squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and maybe bent row. But we all use landmine exercises where the bar is shoved in a corner, and now it becomes one implement. You can do presses, rows, curls, twisting exercises, lunges. Do you all do a lot of landmine stuff?
Yeah, actually I did a lot over the summer, not over the summer, over like the very beginning of the fall when I was prepping for my last meet. I did like a ton of landmine work.
Okay. Chris, and you have a landmine attachment at your house, right?
Yeah, I just recently got that. So I've always been doing, landmine deadlifts, but I really want to start to incorporate some more overhead stuff and some of the, you can do some chops and that kind of stuff with it. There's a lot of things available with a landmine. I think they're really good. And if you don't have the piece of equipment, like you said, you can just put it in a corner. Sometimes people will put it on top of a plate if they have plates.
Yeah.
They'll put their barbell on top of that, and either way, you can find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the thing I like about the landmine is because it allows for some instability, but not as much as you would have with a dumbbell. So like a single leg landmine deadlift is a lot easier than a single leg dumbbell deadlift. And a landmine shoulder press is actually easier on your rotator cuff than a dumbbell shoulder press. But when it comes to weight loss, I think the important thing here, and I don't think Kevin really was asking for what exercises are best for losing weight. He was more asking about programming. But I know that a lot of people want to know what's the best exercise to burn belly fat, because you see those banner ads all the time. I see Delaney snickering and Chris's reaction.
Sorry,
there is no exercise.
Wait, can you see me?
No. I'm just hearing you. I'm hearing your snickering.
Oh.
And hearing Chris's
I was like,
reaction.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, just there is no exercise that by itself burns fat.
Oh, and you also don't get to choose where the fat's going to go away.
That is
necessarily.
Yeah. You're going to lose it where you have the most of it. That's kind of how it works.
Right.
So when people are trying to figure out what equipment they need, like Delaney said, if you have a strength goal or something, then you're going to need certain implements. If you have a goal of a barbell bench press number or back squat number or clean number, but if you're just looking to build up your overall fitness and lose weight, you can do that with dumbbells or bands or sandbags or kettlebells. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can use to get and stay in shape. When it comes to weight loss, there's absolutely no exercise that is good for weight loss.
If you do them in a certain way, they all would be good for weight loss.
That is true. Yeah. Cause somebody could argue, somebody could argue that, a burpee is going to burn more calories than I don't know, a push-up or a curl. Which true, if you did 100 burpees and you did 100 curls, you would have a very different result when it comes to your heart rate. But it's not the exercise that's doing that. It's the fact that you have a higher heart rate sustained for a longer period of time, which equals more calories burned. But you could do the same thing by going out for a run or walk up a flight of stairs.
Exactly.
So I think programming wise, when it comes to weight loss, your focus really needs to be on your food first, and then getting in at least an hour of some type of movement every day, whether it's weightlifting or walking or running or whatever, just to make sure that you're moving enough. But I wouldn't worry so much about the exercise selection as I would just having a good program that's well-rounded. Pushing and pulling in all directions while combined with a good diet.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything that we went through with the questions here that you all thought of something that you wanted to add to one of them that you were like, shoot, I didn't get to say that back at that part?
No, I can't think of anything.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, sweet. All right. So I guess we just need to go get our links for our playlists. You guys start building those up. Cool. All right. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today, answering all these questions.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is number 100, huh?
This is number 100. Yep. This is 100.
Oh, the centennial.
The centennial. So this is the 100th episode that I started in August of 2017. And the first year, I can't remember how many I put out the first year. And the second years, it was really hard to get out with how busy my schedule was, episodes consistently. But I put out more episodes in 2020 than I did in the entire first 2.5 years of the podcast.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're doing one a week now, so we're on pace to have out even more out this year. But I'm excited to have you all on more, and then bring in Steve and Megan, of course, and do some more of these where we can do question and answer sessions and tackle topics together as coaches. Because obviously, as we've seen here, we have different ideas on things, and we're very similar in some aspects. But we approach things differently because we have, the three of us have extremely different training backgrounds and histories as coaches. But I think that that can benefit people listening.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Variety is good.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Sweet. Thanks for hanging out.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to this show, like or leave a rating and comment on this episode, maybe share it with a friend, that would be awesome. I also want to thank everyone who submitted questions for this week's episode. We had a lot of fun answering all of those. This is actually something we're going to be doing a lot more of this year. We're going to be having Chris and Delaney and the other Straight Shot coaches, Steve and Megan, on to answer your all's questions. So if you have a question you would like us to cover in a future episode, just shoot me a message on social media using the handle @StraightShotTraining, or you can email me at johnny@straightshottraining.com. That's JONNY @straightshottraining.com. Also, if you would like to learn more about what we do here at Straight Shot, head over to straightshottraining.com to see how we can help you move better, feel better, and live better no matter what your fitness level is or where in the world you may be. Finally, I want to thank all of you so much for listening to this podcast. It's super encouraging to know that so many people take the time out of their day to listen to me and my team share what we're so passionate about. I sincerely hope over these past 100 episodes that I've been able to help you and your friends out in some way. That's really why I started this show in the first place, and I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to continue to do it for the past 2.5 years, and I'm excited to keep doing it for you all. Thanks again, and have a great week, everybody.